In the last video we checked out the Drevo Excalibur 75% keyboard, so today we're checking out an exciting mechanical keyboard from Vortex gear, and if you've been keeping up with things in the community, you've probably already got your fair share of exposure with this keyboard, so I decided to get this one done right after the Excalibur to also get some good comparisons between the two. And this is the Vortex 3 Ace or Race 3, and it's a bit weird. I thought for sure something like Race 3 with a 3 at the end would make sense, like the Poker 3, since its predecessor is the Race 2, but yeah. First of all, this is an engineering sample and some things may change. Anyway, we get a high quality box just like the Vortex core, and we get a micro USB cable, some screw-in feet, a bunch of extra keycaps that we'll look at later, and the retail version will come with a manual. Alright, so here's the keyboard. They've gone with pretty much the same design as their Vortex Core 40% keyboard. It's extremely simplistic in every way, and it's essentially just a rectangular case with absolutely minimal bezel. It's sporting a floating key design, so the key switches are exposed from the sides, and it has a very low profile and slim design. This is something that looks very clean, but I know many people prefer high profile cases. It's a lighter silver in comparison to the core. I did like the colour of the core, but this is nice as well. The anodized finish is smooth and immaculate, and is holding up fine so far. It's difficult to get on camera, but there is a distinct line all around the case, and I'm not sure exactly what that is. On the bottom it's completely clean with the metal info plate. Again, this is an engineering sample, so it'll probably look something like this. We also get 4 small rubber feet and 2 holes to install our 2 extra feet. These are super simple to attach with just a Phillips head screw, and then you just put the rubber foot over that. I really like these feet. They're quite small in comparison to other add-on feet that you see, and are of course made out of aluminium as well, and they also don't add too much inclination to the keyboard. The keycaps complement the design completely. These are amazing DSA profile keycaps and are all uniform, so they're all the same height and shape, besides the F and J homing deep dish keys, which are always so good to just rest your fingers on, and of course the convex spacebar. Being uniform, we have a very flat slate looking design. The keycaps themselves are also quite low profile in comparison to OEM profile keycaps, again contributing to the slimness of the keyboard. They've gone for a more standard off-white and grey colorway for the keycaps rather than the more beigey looking ones on the core. We can also add extra coloured keycaps to get that bit of edge while still maintaining the clean look, and it can act as a visual aid as well. And this is pretty much a granite key set, which is and has been very popular as an aftermarket key set. The legends are very clean and sharp and complement the design. The rest of the keys that aren't alphas are quite thick though. It's more noticeable on the number row. The spacing between the symbols and the numbers are quite large as well, making the numbers be right on the edge of the top of the keycap, and because of the profile of the keycap, most of it is on the upwards curve. There's also inconsistencies with placement, with some of the numbers being on the absolute edge, while others are at least a mil away. This is of course a 75% keyboard and features 83 keys, so it's approximately 75% of a full-size keyboard. Having 83 keys, it's pretty much a 10 keyless keyboard in terms of primary functionality, with TKL boards having 87 keys, but we're saving a bit more lateral space, plus we get this really unique look. I absolutely recommend 75% and 65% boards for people who think they can't stray away from 10 keyless keyboards, because they still do offer most of the functionality. Now Vortex have fixed half of their old 75% layout, which had some irregular key sizes with the arrow keys and such. This time round they've fixed that part, now having more standard arrow keys and bottom row keys. However, the top function row is still the same, so we lose one key and instead have larger 1.5 unit escape and delete keys. This severely impacts on key compatibility, which is pretty disappointing, and has been deservingly made clear by the community even in the early stages, but no changes were made. Here's the Drevo Excalibur 75% for comparison, which has a standard top row, which allows for easy keycap swapping, and I put the Vortex keycaps on the Excalibur, and this is how it should have been, but it's not to be. However, these are really amazing keycaps which don't really need replacing in the first place, so depending on who you are, this may not be an issue at all, but it's the principle behind it that makes it look and feel kinda odd. Another cool thing is the Apple compatibility. The rest of the extra keycaps have been made to be just like an Apple keyboard. First we have our 2 command keys, which is probably the most important ones. Then there's the 2 option keys, an enter key that also says return on it, and a delete key for the backspace key. Additionally, by pressing Function and M, we can change it to a dedicated Mac mode, which has been patched during the time I've had it. And with all those changes, it makes it an absolute perfect substitute for the similarly sized Apple Magic Keyboard. It legitimately is one of the best matches for an Apple system in how it functions and looks. Now to the programmability. Vortex have had a lot of experience with the poker line and the core, which by nature require layers to access other keys because they're all missing. But this on the other hand doesn't particularly require that aspect, but it's still all here, which is great to see. To change layers, we now press Function and right shift, and like normal, the LED under the spacebar will change color. So we have the default layer plus 3 other programmable layers. And then the programming is exactly the same. First press Function and right control, and the spacebar will light up in a solid color. Then press the key that you wish to program. I'll press / key. Then press what you want it to be. This can be any other key, it can be any secondary function like volume up, or we can have it execute a sequence. So I'll make it type out hello friends with a T in front. Then press the PN key, and then you can continue to do more keys with the same layout, or you can exit by pressing Function and right control. And now when I press / it does exactly that. This programmability is all stored on the onboard memory, so you can have the same settings when changing devices. This is useful for various working programs for shortcuts, games, and just general use, and I'm glad they kept this feature on this keyboard. There's other secondary functions shown on the front of some keycaps. We have our media control keys from F1 to F6, and we have the rest of the nav cluster from F10 to delete. We also have the option to swap between QWERTY, Dvorak, and Colmac layouts, and DSA keycaps are perfect for this since the heights are all the same, so swapping the keycaps around will be absolutely fine. Taking off the keycaps, and we have really great 1.5mm thick PBT DSA profile keycaps, which have hard wearing dye sublimated legends. Great quality keycaps, actually being quite a bit thicker than the signature plastic ones, which are about 1.1mm thick. And underneath those keycaps we have Cherry MX Blue key switches. These of course will be available in a variety of color switches. I do have RGB switches here as shown by the clear top casings, but there's no backlighting on mine. Again, this is an earlier sample, so the retail version may come with the standard black tops. We all know what these are like, so they're clicky and tactile with a medium weight, and here's a quick sound test. The impressive thing about this is the sound. I had the same experience with the Vortex Core, where it was very quiet for a Cherry MX Black keyboard, and with this, while it is still loud, it's a bit quieter and lower pitched than other Cherry MX boards I have around. This is mainly down to the build of the keyboard with the steel backplate and the aluminium base. I did try other keycaps and it's still quite similar in sound. Taking the keyboard apart is super simple with a couple of Phillips head screws. Some of these are pretty tight though, with one being tight enough to actually break the thread insert. This is also because the walls are very thin, and these aren't externally connected to the case. This is just the case itself with a router cutting around it, so there's no reason why it couldn't be a bit thicker. I did tell Vortex about this and they said they'd look into it. The case though is just a simple piece of aluminium that has been CNC milled, and there's not much to it. I did mention in my Drevo Excalibur review that it's actually quite thin, and this is to create that bezel-less look, but that's the consequence of this design. While it's made from great materials and is finished beautifully, there's not much metal there, which makes it not feel as premium as other metal cases. The PCB is clean and the soldering job is good. There's actually some spots for SMD LEDs which look to be RGB compatible. Apparently some people have LEDs already in there, but that's not on mine. I was trying to find more info on these, which are supposedly LED drivers, and I came across a post on Desktority with a Cooler Master keyboard that also has the same Holtec 32-bit ARM Cortex processor, as well as the 3 drivers, but that of course has LEDs on it. I don't believe there are going to be any backlit versions of this keyboard anytime soon like with the Vortex core, but it's all there, so perhaps sometime. Overall, a great addition to their lineup of compact keyboards. They've moved to a more premium feel and classy aesthetic, with this and the core both now coming with aluminium bases and thick PBT DSA profile keycaps. It exudes class and the aesthetic makes fair of the price at about $140 USD. If this isn't something that's affordable, then the Drevo Excalibur is an amazing alternative with a very similar design, which can be had for about $90 US with the Cherry MX switches and under $70 for the Altimus. However, if you want programmability, then you go with this, and if you want better keycaps, then this is definitely worth the extra $50 or so, with keysets like these easily being $100 or more. And then there's the KBD75 if you want a bit more bulk and substance. Another good thing to highlight is the Mac compatibility, and I'd say this is a great choice with the keycaps provided, the dedicated Mac mode, the programmability, and to top it off it does maintain a sleek design. It'll be interesting to see what they come out with next, and if they continue this trend of low profile metal cases and DSA keycaps.